Okay, I'm
on the
going to
live.
start to introduce and to welcome the people together with Alfie. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Second Instinct podcast. Today we are here with Alphy Psyche and Groove Hunter. Um,
Hello, guys.
I'm Parandroid.
And I'm Alphy Psyche, and in
Yes,
this podcast,
I'm
we
Groove
are going
Hunter.
to talk about VSD, VS versus hardware synths, and how important are room acoustic for music productions.
exactly.
So stay with us.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about those topics, and we have a guest from Russia here today, live from India. So I want to give Ilya just a chance to say a couple of sentences about him, to introduce himself, what he's doing. Um, Ilya.
Hello, guys. Yes. Hello, guys. I'm here. Uh, Everything going well. Just finished work on my EP, Mantis, my second project. It's done mastering by Encore. Very good mastering. Cover done. Everything done. Release will be July, like very near. And I'm working a lot on many new music. Like I create many projects, which one calling Polyplexer for Sonic, one Groove Hunter, my main project, which you guys know, I think, and also working on album. Yes, everything going well actually.
Nice.
Nice, really nice.
And you're currently in India, and you have your stuff. You have your stuff there, right? Like,
Yeah. I'm an Indian. From the beginning, when I started producing, in my head, my friend put some idea. You need be very mobility with your stuff, and I follow this idea every time when I traveling. I every time all my equipment with me.
yeah. The the last time when I was in India, I also actually we had Genelec speakers, and we had the virus Snow, and we had like some controllers and of course headphones and stuff. It was quite nice to have
Yeah,
this.
just remember the studio in Goa, which we visited. Yegova studio there. Same setup there. You
Yeah,
remember?
I remember. Yeah, right. This is like how we got to know each other. Was we made music together in Goa, and you brought me to your place there, and yeah, I was hanging out with a Russian guy, and many people always say, yeah, the Russians, they like to stay for themselves and da 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 da. But but you are
Russian different.
but you are a really open guy, I think. Like this is how I
I can
experience.
I can say yes because like I know the close guys. I mean the guys who not so open to to discussion with people who they don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry for my English, guys.
don't worry. Yeah,
I stay in India.
perfect English is not required, so don't worry about that. Um, okay, so let's just start with our first topic in this case. Alfie, do you want to start, or should I?
Uh, yeah, you can start and from your topic, VSD versus
Yeah,
hardware synths.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of an old topic, but I think it's still interesting in a way. That
Yeah,
A
yeah.
gold topic.
some producers, they really do amazing work with only digital tools, and then there are some producers which really do amazing work with hardware synthesizers, and it's kind of needed for their workflow. For an example, for like producer examples, I'm just going to give you some examples. Kinzaza, for example, or Willow Wisp, or people like that, myself actually also included. There are some synthesizers which are extremely important to my work. So I I still see the value in hardware synthesizers, even if they are digital, for example. and I still didn't came around to extensively, continuously use VSTs for sound creation. So yeah, maybe you guys can share your way of working. First of all, do you work with hardware or do you work with VSTs? I'm talking about like basically synthesis in this case. No, obviously not inserts. So I'm talking about the creation of sound. Where do you do your sounds? Uh,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, maybe we start with Ilya in this case.
Yes. So my vision, I like both of them. I mean VST and hardware, because, for example, for me, uh, packet from UHE company, very nice. Like for example, Zebra, Diva. I very like use Diva, especially for atmosphere, for example.
Hmm.
But in some cases, I have Virus TI2 desktop, and I still like to use it because it's digital analog synthesizer, but I still like how uh, this kind of metallic sound of this
Right,
synthesizer.
which one was the last one you said?
I told you I have Virus TI2 desktop,
Yeah,
and I really like this metallic sound,
yeah,
this
exactly. Hmm.
synthesizer.
Yeah,
Yes, and for example, from other VST synthesizer, I cannot get the same character of sound, this kind of metallic one.
yeah, yeah,
This is I try many times. I do the same times, with VST, same setup, and it's not work like this, like
yeah,
same.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There,
But one things what I get in VST, you can warm it. I mean, make it a bit warm signal. Like, for example, once I been in, maybe you know this guy Overdream, this Ukrainian guy, Ukrainian producer,
mhm.
Maxus, very nice guy, and we was recording the track with him, and he still now I think he have it like a small preamp with two inputs, two outputs, like a stereo with lamp, and he recording the sound from the VST through this lamp. And when he zooming the clip, what he done, what we are recording, I was see the difference between what we are recording from VST and what we're recording from this preamp. It have the bit small difference between wave shape, and
Yeah,
it's really interesting conception how to make your signal more, okay, I can say analog, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not analog.
for
Like
sure.
you try mm, make your sound more warm, more fat. This is a point for me. Doesn't matter for me now which source I using, VST or virus. For me, the more important how I do how I put it in the mix. Because to be honest, you can record big spectrum of the sound,
Hmm.
but usually you need small amount of the frequencies in the mix in the your track. And you cutting more high, more low. And this way you're losing some energy, but
Yeah,
still you need it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
like
yeah,
it's my feeling about VST and
yeah,
hardware.
yeah. Well, okay. Alfie, you want to continue?
Yeah. Uh, in my case, I really love both of them, the VSD and the hardware. In this case, uh, I usually really like Virus TI because I can easily make whatever I want instantly, and it's really complete, and it have their own texture for the sounding. And sometimes I use Nerd, but
Nerd? What is nerd?
Nordlit.
Ah,
Nord
Nord.
lead the
Okay.
yeah. Sorry for the the red one, yeah.
Yeah, Klavier. Okay.
Uh, but I really love the sounds for the serum. I really love
Yeah.
the sounding of the vital, and I think actually all of them are really crazy, and in this way have their character, for their style. And in this case, I really like to mix everything with each other, with some analog sound and some electronic digital sound in this case.
Yeah, yeah, same.
Yeah. And
But
Imo?
It's like it's like a give you a really big amount of the variation of the sounds actually when you're mixing it together.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I obviously use a lot of virus as well, like tremendous amounts of virus actually. And
Some Samuel, you're addictive to virus again, I
yeah,
think.
I am very addicted to the virus. You can see it from my knobs. I really have to replace them. They're almost gone now. So I used it so much that the knobs are not there anymore. It's like the rubber is, it's almost finished, the most of them. So I use a lot of virus, but it can become
Yeah,
a bit stale if you're using only one thing.
Correct.
Yeah. On the other hand, it's really, really good to use one thing for a very long time and to really do that, uh, you know, until you know it in and out, basically.
Man, but to be honest, I know some really top-notch producer who create all music only from virus. I mean, not kick, bass, not drum section,
Yeah.
but only synthesizer sound
Yeah.
only from virus.
Well,
And sometimes I like a confusion about this. But at the result, you will see good music because it's a really high
Yeah.
level of production.
Yeah.
I
So
don't want to mark name.
I have a lot of tracks where I was only using the virus, and yeah, like tons of my tracks are exclusively done with virus, exactly as you said, except kick and bass and drums. Usually I use samples for the drums, and kick and bass I do with different tools, either
Yeah, yeah,
Bassism,
yeah.
VB1, Serum, and I used probably 20, 30 different things for bass in the last 12 years or something like that.
Oh yes, oh yes.
But ultimately, actually, VB1 is still a really, really killer bass. A lot of people are using it. A lot of us are using it because you know what you're getting. You can modify it a lot by processing it as well. And yeah, so come back to the thing. I mean, the virus, for example, we love it, and it has a particular analog sound, despite the fact that it's a digital synthesizer. It's completely digital.
Let's talk.
correct.
He have character.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it does have a lot of
Uh,
character. There is actually
Yeah.
now a VST that tries to emulate the virus, and
So,
yeah,
small words about VST. For example, Zebra. I correct
yeah,
say Zebra. Yeah,
Zebra.
from UHE company. Zebra have very interesting modulation of different parameters of phase, of fractalizer phase. It's like what is it fractalizer? Nobody know. But they fractalize your phase. And there are many small options to modulate your oscillator or whatever, which I not found, for example, in virus.
Yeah, yeah, of course. There are lots of VSTs that come with unique features, and that's what
Yeah,
what makes them. The virus is 20 years old now, and it's insane that it's still, that much in use, and that it's still absolutely an amazing
favorite of side runs.
Yeah, and so is the G2, for example. They are not dropping in price by a lot since more than a decade. So actually prices are increasing
Yeah,
for the G2. The G2 costs now double as much as the release price. While it costs 1,000 euros at the release, now it costs 2,000 euros on eBay. So those things, they are kind of timeless. But then new additions to the assortment of VST synthesizers, like the Vital, which comes with this transpose snap modulation feature, which obviously the virus doesn't have.
I think I don't know what is it.
It's an excellent feature where you can use the LFOs to actually create ARP sounds because you lock it to certain intervals. So you can,
Ah, okay, okay.
yeah,
I get you.
it's
I
kind of
will
a,
check.
it's kind of a LFO, but musical mode. So you can totally use that harmonically. You can punch in the scale that you're using. Let's say you're using a small second and a tritonus, then you're going to punch in small second and a tritonus, and it's going to be harmonic. So if you're using wild LFO pitch modulation, it can sound very interesting for FX, but obviously it's going to be not very tonal. And this LFO,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you
Yes,
the
yes.
yeah, it gives you the option to do crazy stuff and it sounds unique. So
But it will be by tonal way, correctly.
yeah,
Because okay, okay. Because I put on my computer Vital, but I still not go into deep into it.
yeah,
Just
I
just want
was
to check it.
I was checking it out a bit. It's cool. You can do wavetables, your own wavetables, like in Serum, with even more
Mm-hmm.
advanced features for wavetable modulation, or I don't know how to say. Like it has quite a cool feature set. It's completely free. On top of that, that's amazing. So there's different versions, but the higher versions are just coming with more presets, but not more functions. So
Yes.
yeah, so it's a no-brainer kind of. Yeah, I mean, everybody downloaded it anyway. It was a big hype with Vital last year.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Um, there is no real reason to not download it because it's for free and it's really cool and it's not even freemium, so it's not even cut down or anything like that. It's actually the full version of Vital.
I think it's more about lazy people who don't know or who don't want to create
Yeah,
their
yeah.
own sound. They just want
Yes.
to open
Yeah.
preset.
Okay.
No, to be honest, I also okay.
Yeah.
Chat. Let's
What do
chat
you
about.
guys think about, for example, something like Avenger? Do you know Avenger?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is sample based and it's not really synthesis. And I see the biggest problem there, for example, is that a lot of producers will take this and, for example, they write a track in a certain tone or root note and in a certain scale, and then there's already something programmed inside the sounds, like for example some complex chords or some melody sequences there that are inside there, and then they're just using that and putting it on top of what they're doing. And let's say it's, for example, an arp that is in a different scale. It just like it hits, it's becoming completely unharmonic because of that. And if the person doesn't have a good ear, well, so yeah, those things I also like to use them, but it's a little bit more iffy. You really need to take a look at what actually the sounds are doing inside the sound. What did the sound designers do actually from the tonalities?
But tell me, I not understand. This is Avenger. This is a sampler, I think. It's not a
No,
synthesizer.
it's sample based. It's not really a sampler. I
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
in this case, I uh, actually use any VSTs to make some samples and record it as a wave and chop it and make it into a next level actually. For me,
yeah,
it's not different a lot in this case because I just transpose the sample and match with the
sure,
tones that I
but you
want.
need to know about it and you need to have a look at that. Both of those things, and sometimes it's quite complex from how the sound is done. And yeah, obviously, if you have a look at that and you
And
adjust it, uh, most of
yeah,
the
just
people,
want to tell you, you need to adjust.
hmm?
You just want to adjust the samples to your track because mostly the sample not adjusted.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anything more
Yeah.
about VSTs and hardware? Well, what I found really interesting, I did some experiments, for example, with the MS-10, and then routing the signal from this fully analog synthesizer into the Virus TI, and playing around with that. And it's actually possible to use VSTs and route them into the virus as well with your sound card, and then use the
Yeah,
virus on the VST. So, for example, you're doing a crazy lead sound or something
yeah.
on Serum.
I just want to tell you one thing. My friend, he in Brazil, he have the small make noise zero custom one, and how you know this zero custom one don't have the any filter. It's only oscillator, I think. I'm not so much
Yeah.
into it, but I know. And he put output in the virus inputs, and he put through the combo filter.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
won't get this feeling of the metallic sound, you know.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
also he using the same story from the sound card. He put the signal of the VST through the filter of the virus.
Yeah, I was doing that a lot with a couple of different synthesizers, and exactly. So with the MS-10, I was doing pretty much the same. I was using this ultra fat, incredible analog oscillator for noise and also for raw saw waves and mixed waves and etc. It has an incredible timbre, and then together with the kind of high technology virus TI effects on top of that, like the comp filter, as you said, or like the tape delay, which is also super sick on the
Yeah,
virus.
yeah. It's like you're able to use whatever you like from virus effects. Actually, you want flanger, flanger, chorus. You use chorus. You want to phaser, use phaser. And actually, I really like phaser character of phaser virus. But you know, how many? Few days ago, I was checking one video about the how it's calling radical frequencies. It's oscillator module oscillator, and you know what I found? I found a very interesting feature. They can do FM. This oscillator have alpha and beta oscillator, two oscillator, and you can do FM crossing from alpha to beta and from beta to alpha. You know, cross modulation.
Yeah,
For example, the virus don't have it.
yeah, many things you will find.
Yeah, many things. Yeah.
You will
But
find a lot
especially
of
these features, I really like in hardware synthesizer. But it's actually need to build your own module, I think, in this way.
So what I can definitely say why I love the virus that much is actually touching the virus and being able to completely immerse myself by, just having access to all the different areas, and you can completely transform a sound. You can start at one point, you can go to another point, and this gives the sound a lot of soul, I think, also by just like using your hands a lot. So those are the things which I really, really appreciate. Obviously, you can use a MIDI controller, but for me, it's still something different to touch a real instrument or to remote control an instrument. You should still use MIDI controllers for Serum and for anything that you use, basically, that is not hardware, but still.
But bro, you know what? One thing, for some people they like to use mouse. I know people hate to turn the knobs. They like mouse.
Well, but
For me and for you, no, man. It just think about this. People have different logic. You and me, we guys who want to turn, because I have desktop now. I understand. I never come back to snow because for me, snow it's how you tell me and go. It's pain in the ass. And I don't want to come back, I want to turn myself these knobs.
It's just perfect for traveling. The Snow is the perfect travel synthesizer. It's like a sound card, it's an effect thingy, it's it's so many things at the same time. It's a multi synthesizer that you can use for multiple channels, 4 channels. For live.
Yeah.
You can use it as a sound card. It's pretty perfect for traveling, but it's a very limited version, really. Like I can do sounds with the virus. On the big one, we talked about it. I definitely can do more, some crazy stuff that is not possible on the Snow, because of the knobs.
one guy told me, man, why you don't need to buy desktop, buy Snow, and buy one controller more? Like,
No,
I
it's
told,
not.
no, it's not work like this.
It's not
Yes,
working
yes.
like that. It's good and important to have a controller for the VSTs, in my opinion. Then I really want
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm,
Fuck, man, I have two of them. Big one.
yeah, I have a SL25 MK2, and unfortunately, the on the first octave, the A and the B are kind of not working properly. You have to press them really hard. It's fucking taking. It's really annoying. And I cleaned it. I opened it and I cleaned it. But all of those MIDI controllers, this one for example, is an expensive MIDI controller. But most of them are really cheap quality Chinese plastic stuff. Arkai, same
Ah,
story.
Novation, yes.
Yeah, it's Novation and it's really expensive. It has touch functionality, or it was expensive when I bought it. It has touch
I think my
functionality and stuff.
Yeah, I think my friend have the same story.
Yeah, it's a good
Uh,
controller if it works, but yeah.
so let's speak about acoustic, guys. I think we
Yeah,
covered the
yeah,
VST and hardware.
yes. So
So there is no more talk about VSD and synth and hardwares.
well, no.
No,
You,
if you have some question, yeah,
yeah. If you want to
if you
add
have some
something,
idea, you can speak with us.
yeah. Now it's your time to fully speak about something if something is missing from what you wanted to say about VST versus hardware.
Uh, I have a real question. What is the difference between the knob in the synthesizer and the knob that you just assign to?
Definitely latency. Absolutely latency. That's the absolute major difference. You have zero latency, and that is a thing that absolutely exists. MIDI latency, brother. And this is the problem. And this is why you feel a little disconnect. There is a tiny disconnect, even if you have it perfectly set up and even if you work with the best MIDI interface. It's a different story to use a virus or with your hands in comparison to use the SL25 or any other MIDI controller to control the virus. This is the difference. Imagine a guitar. The guitar from Jimi Hendrix would have had 0.25 milliseconds of latency constantly. The guy, it's not that direct feeling, and this is worth to like a lot, a lot. It's a tiny thing, but it has a tremendous impact on my enjoyment and how I am experiencing something like the Virus TI. And you can totally prove it. It's like, in my opinion, empiric. Obviously, you will agree with that there is latency, and you have,
Y-
yeah.
Yeah, I feel there are latency have, but not so big. For example, for my side,
No,
if
no,
I
it's not big, but for me,
Exactly.
I feel it definitely. So it's big enough for me to have a total difference to touch the virus or to touch the MIDI controller. 100 million percent.
Yeah, yeah. You know it this way. You can say, look, the people have different tests to things,
Yeah,
and some people okay, with this. Some people not.
absolutely.
It's like up to people also.
Absolutely. I agree. For some people, it will be no problem. And for other people,
It
it will be.
How,
depends. It depends on the controller that you use too, I think.
no,
Uh,
no, no, no. Alfie, Samuel told before. It's not about controller. It's more about USB interface. 3.0
Yes.
or Thunderbird. How it's calling on or
Guys, we have a question from the viewers. I will put that out in a second when we are done with this. Hey Danny Ozom, I will answer your question in a second. And this is basically, it's fine if you are fine with it. You know what I mean? It's like playing video games on 30 frames per second or on 120 frames per second. Like if you're fine with 30 frames per second, and you enjoy it, then that's fine. But I really, really feel the difference because I used it for more than a decade. So if I put a MIDI controller, doesn't matter how good the MIDI interface, I totally will feel the difference. And the next thing is, I could go forever in this case. You would have to set the MIDI controller up completely, and my brain is hardwired to the Virus TI system. I think you guys same thing. So I really know every knob, every button by heart, and if I touch it,
Almost.
me, yes, I know every little thing. I believe I can say that
I know.
confidently. And when I'm really in the zone, then I'm going extremely quickly. And this is where the magic happens, is when I'm in the zone, when I can relax. And the synthesizer becomes the extension of my brain and of my soul. And I'm not thinking. I'm definitely like it's a trance kind of.
Follow to flow.
Yeah, full flow, exactly. And to achieve that flow,
Yes.
it's amazing to have this fixed setup. And, obviously you could set it
Yeah.
up.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. This is the fixed setup, and your body gave the exact amount for each knob, and that maybe makes the difference for playing.
Yeah,
This is the really
important point.
important thing.
Yeah, for me also I think the latency is a absolute
But
valid.
for the latency, that's a really good question, and we should search for the latencies that knobs have in
This
real
is, I
time.
think if I remember correctly, you just have to go to Studio in Cubase and then to MIDI, and it should show you your MIDI latency if I remember correctly. Guys, let's
But
quickly
in this
answer.
case,
Let's quickly answer. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no problem.
So we
But
have.
I'm just going to, sorry, I'm just going to say in this case, my in my Ableton with my sound card, I have 12 millisecond latency
Audio, you're
in this
talking
case,
about
and
audio. You're talking at the moment about audio latency, not about
Check
MIDI.
MIDI.
MIDI, bro.
so I have to check it.
Well,
So let's
but
go
not now.
for the yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Let's go for the question for the
Okay.
viewers and
So,
talk about it.
so Danny Ozom asks, "Hi guys, how can someone start producing with zero experience? What requirements are needed in hardware and software?" So what we are going to do now is like we're
Can
going.
I answer?
Yeah, we
Can I answer?
no. Obviously, everybody will answer. We always do when there is a question. Our mode of play is we start at some point and then we go counterclockwise or clockwise in the round. So everybody has a chance to say what he has to say about that if he wants to. And this time we're going to start with Alfie, and then we're going to Ilya, and then I'm going to be last.
So in this case, the most important thing, in my opinion, is two things, and that's in parallel. The first is the knowledge that's required for you to know how you can make your music and how you can arrange things and how you can design your sounds. This is the first thing. You have to know the scales, for example, to know you didn't use offbeat notes, for example. But in the parallel, you need to know how your DAW work, how your techniques in your genre works, and these are two different categories.
Yeah.
From the
Okay.
person who just started or just want to start it without any knowledge, I really prefer to learn the very fundamentals of music. Don't need to learn everything, but just the fundamental like
Okay.
notes, scales, chords. These are
Yeah.
necessary.
So, okay, I have something very interesting to counter to that. Um, Ilya, what are you saying?
Oh,
Yeah, so maybe again I'm putting out a question. How can someone start producing with zero experience? What requirements are needed in hardware and software?
So this way, Alphy say correct actually, but I want to say if the guy actually beginner, like a beginner, just a start, he don't know nothing in Ableton and Cubase, he don't know how this program works. First, what I get, this guy need to listen music which he like first. He
Okay.
need to analyze it because
I think he does.
just imagine you're a beginner. What you need to see? You need to see
Yeah.
how looks the track, how the sounding the
Okay.
track,
I believe-
which idea.
I think the question is basically asked from a position from somebody who listened already a lot because his name is Danny Ozom. So I think that he is that's just my
Okay,
hunch.
okay.
So
Yes, I get.
let's take the question from somebody who listened for a long time and has formed the vision to become a creator, like I did back in the day when I was 16, and Alfie did at some point. Everybody at some point is not doing music, but has the vision to do music. So I think from that.
Yes, this way, I can recommend it. Explore very nicely. Explore your digital analog
Okay.
workstation.
I'm
This is the best.
Yeah, he just answered. He's listening since 13 years. So I have a way more pragmatic approach. Ilya, are you done, or are you want to add something to that?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Done. I can say something, but you
So-
can say.
I can just share a little bit of my story there, because that is maybe interesting and also informs why I'm answering the question, how I'm answering the question. So when I started to do music, I was literally at zero. I really had no prior knowledge at this point, and I was just about to start to study art on the academy. So I was fully immersed into that, and I started really with no knowledge. And I was really taking a long time until I learned what scales are, what chords are, what intervals are. I was already an internationally booked artist at the moment when I was really learning that, and I was absolutely perfectly using those scales already. I just couldn't name them. I was using numbers back then. I was using interval numbers from day one, basically. So root note and then 5, 3, 1, 7. I was using numbers to create tonal kind of rows. And you don't need to be able to talk about that. I see music theory, for example, mainly as a tool to talk about musical things that are happening and can be described in music theoretical languages, and less than a set of rules that is confining me and binding me. So I didn't know anything about that, and I was writing quite good music, apparently, because I got booked worldwide at that point, without knowing anything about that. And then I learned about it, and it was a big important step. This I have to agree. So I'm not saying that to like, hey guys, don't learn music theory. Not at all. Learn it as quick as possible, but also follow your instinct and don't let yourself being closed down by music theoretical rules, because there are no rules. There are only ways to describe what is happening tonally or rhythmically in music theoretical terms. It's a symbol language that we agreed on that is perfectly suited for us to talk about that. So we have, for example, Alfie from Iran, and you are from Russia, and I'm from Germany, and this language is universal. Everybody agreed on this symbolic language that is music theory, and this is where it really comes in. So a little bit back to the question. I need to rewind a bit, because I wanted to also answer this question a bit more pragmatic. So the first thing that you should do when you want to start out to do music is to get the most basic things, obviously, for creation of music, and those you can get them for free. In terms of software, you can get them for free, because Sonar, for example, is completely for free, and many other DAWs are for free. And you need a digital audio workstation, so a program to record and make sounds, etc., and to mix sounds. So you need that. You need a pair of good headphones, for example, DT990. That's a really, really good, reliable studio headphone that is kind of a reference in the entry segment for studio headphones. and you need a bunch of inspiration. I think you have that already, and a determination to sit your ass down and to work for a long time. After 1 year, you will be able to gauge and to determine, do I want to become a music producer or not? After 1 year, in my opinion, strong and hard work, you should ask yourself, okay, now I know what it takes. I understood it's an infinite kind of space, and I could use, many lives to fully explore this. Do I really want to sit such a long time in front of the PC alone, mostly alone, or not? Because this is what it takes. It will take years of your life, and we all share that, I believe, all music producers.
Yes, man, correctly.
So those things you need on a pragmatic level, I think, and then as soon as possible get as much information and structural basic knowledge as you can, as Alfie also alluded to. There is like music production is half creative and half technical, so you need to be able to enjoy both of those parts. You need to be able to use both of your sides of your brain basically to become a good music producer, but you need external knowledge. You need to read. That's very important. I think if also for my development it was important that I started to read a book about the virus, about synthesis, and that gave me a lot of understanding about.
And also, sorry, I start to read the books about physics of sound. It give me too much understanding how work the sound. Is it because sound is actually according to the physics,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's give me really nice understanding of the process, how the sound works. And it's
Yeah.
not only about synthesizer actually, comment about the sound, about how it works in
Yeah,
space.
and
Yeah.
it's Alfie.
But it's more, I think it's more deep knowledge, I mean, about this. Just guy need to be first introduced by technically in the door,
Yeah. So, okay, so there are obviously really, really good videos online, and you need to be very careful with what to watch in that regard, in my opinion,
Yes, yes.
because
Exactly.
a lot of it is actually kind of questionable. Alfie is currently working on a fantastic foundations course that is super amazing quality, didactically sorted out, and he has a lot of material from his teachings on the university, and it's really, really good stuff that is especially tailored towards beginners. So, guys, soon there will be the full course online, or we're starting to release the course online. You will have like written material, you will have a full curriculum of video lessons for people that really want to learn the absolute foundations about sounds that are valid for all music genres, for example. Those basic things, how waveforms work, how synthesis works on the very foundational level, that is working the same, doesn't matter what you do, basically. So I'm looking forward for that, and that's on instinctlearning.com, instinct-learning.com. I have to quickly plug that here. You can check that out there. We have more questions, guys, if you want.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Without serum. Well, okay, this question is confusing me. So
Read this question, maybe we not will confuse.
I can't get the VSTs to get those rubber sounds. Can you tell how can reach them without serum? I think he means with serum. I think he means with serum. That's what I think.
To be honest, I not get the question.
Yeah, I also don't
Me
really
too.
understand. Little conf-
Just ask him
I
to
don't get the
transform this question.
Yeah, can you rephrase the question? I think you mean
Yeah.
with serum, but we're not sure. So then another guy, it's also like not the best questions, but we can go back to acoustics, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This is what we originally talked about.
Yeah. So
Okay,
in this
okay.
case,
He clarified it. Sorry. Should I tell you?
yeah,
Yeah,
Sure.
so he's asking, no, he was actually meaning that. So he doesn't want to use serum for some reason. I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to use serum though. But yeah, of course,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Use
very good
Vital,
VST.
bro. Full on Portugal 21. Use Vital in this case. I mean, that's totally. It's a wavetable synthesizer, but you can totally use it to do squelches. It also has a simple saw. So I think what you mean with those rubbery sounds, probably comp filter, maybe in connection with saw, squelch kind of sounds like pitch LFO, resonance high, high pass
Maybe
filter.
maybe this frequency shifter also can help with modulation of frequency.
Yeah,
It can
frequency
be
shifter doesn't exist in Vital. I don't know. Maybe.
no. I mean the other door have you can
Yeah,
do
he's asking
manipulation with it.
for sure. He's asking from like VST angle.
Inside of EST. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
No,
Alfie.
So let's go to our second part, or
Yes, let's
oh,
go to
what?
our second part. Room
So
acoustics.
yeah, the second question in this case is how important are the room acoustic for music production? In this case, I can start with myself from very beginning, from when I didn't use any acoustics to the place that I use some acoustics but wrong in the wrong places to the place that I step by step become better, getting my acoustic better, and why I really need feel the need to acoustic my studio.
Yeah, to improve the acoustics of your studio.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. At first, I didn't know anything about acoustics in 12, 13 years ago. And I just use the speakers in my room and make music. But the problems start when export my music and the shit happens. The music in the car sound different
Yeah, yeah, of course.
in the sound systems, my sound system different from others, and everything's start to
Yeah,
uh I really didn't know why this kind of stuff happens
yeah.
until I realized and read somewhere that the acoustic is very important.
Yeah, because
And I
can I
tried,
interject? Can I interject at this moment? If you give me just 10 seconds to put something about that,
sure,
if you have a moment.
sure, yeah, yeah, bro,
Yeah.
yeah,
So to explain what actually happens there, if you are having like he did, having no acoustic correction, and you have a like a weak frequency response, like a non-linear frequency response, you are doing it right in your studio. You are setting the sound so that it sounds nice, but you cannot really hear what is happening because your frequency response is different. For example, you have a lot of bass, but you have no mids, then you have a lot of highs, and so forth. So you're adjusting the sound of your track to the weak frequency response
of
of the studio.
your
Yeah, of the room. So you are actually not doing something wrong. It sounds correct in your place. But as soon as you go into a car, into another sound system, then you finally hear, why does it sound so weak now? This is like the little thing that I wanted to interject. Please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah. No, that's really nice. Uh,
you actually
yeah,
continue.
No, no.
yeah. Actually, the problem is the low frequencies are really, really long. And when it uh, interact with the walls and come back,
Yeah,
it's connected with the previous wavelength.
yeah.
In this
It
case,
it
destruct each other
it can
or
delete
boost
itself.
each other
Yeah, they can
It's
and
delete
crossing
itself.
change
actually.
how you
Uh,
hand.
Crossing and
Yeah,
doubling.
Yeah,
exactly.
many things can happen. It's called room
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
theories.
depends on your shape of the room,
Yeah.
depends of what you have in your rooms. It
Yeah.
change
You
actually.
can be also totally lucky and you have a decent response, but you always will have flatter echo in your room. Like the guys that are watching, for example, if you're in your room and there's not a lot of stuff on the walls, you can test it for yourself by simply clapping in your hand, and you are going to notice that, you know,
How long reverb?
how long reverb there is basically. And
Exactly.
yeah.
That's
But
a
I
very
think sorry.
that's a very fast way to find how
Yeah.
much reverb in the room actually.
Yeah, and how
That's
dry a
really
room is. Like it's
hard.
really not hard to hear. In a room with no acoustic panels, you hear it very quickly. You do this clapping test, and you hear that there is this thing, but there is a lot of other
Yeah.
things to consider. For example, where you are placing your things. For example, your room has a certain length, and you should not sit on the 50% line, and you should not sit on the 25% line from the length, etc. There are a lot of things to know about acoustics. Did you want to say something more, Alfie?
Uh, we can go on for a 100 hertz shitty stuff that goes to the corners of the room in this case,
Yeah,
and we need we actually should use bass trap with a really good density to
yeah.
avoid this kind of interrupt.
Well, density. It's a lot about, yeah. It's about mass.
Yes,
Low frequency absorption is connected to the mass of the absorption material, so it's volume or density or both. The best would be the both. Okay, so I can say something now.
yeah, bro, sure, yeah.
I remember the moment when I arrived in my studio in Berlin, in basically the Paralabs in Berlin, where I had my flat in Neukölln and I had a studio separated, the two rooms in Marzahn, funnily, in a building with only music producers, but it was a steel concrete building.
Mm-hmm.
And steel concrete is really bad acoustic properties, basically. So I was
Sure.
super happy because I had this huge studio place for the first time, and in this place I could blast as much as I want. I could make as loud as I want because there were only studios and musicians in this huge, kind of a skyscraper full of musicians, 200 musicians. And
Nice.
I arrived there, and obviously the walls were naked. The floor was flat, like nothing on the floor. And I placed the stuff for the first time, and I activated it, and I was so happy. Yeah, the first time I'm listening, and I was shocked. I was completely shocked. Like
About what?
it sounded totally horrible
Ah.
because of the
I can imagine.
steel concrete, fully reflective surfaces on all four sides.
Like,
The floor with a very reflective surface that has no absorption qualities, like for example, a wooden floor would have a certain
Yes, yes.
amount of minimum absorption because it's not perfectly flat. But if you have a plastic floor, or like a glass floor, that's also pretty horrible. Like in a bathroom, for example, that's a nightmare. It sounded like a bathroom. It sounded like a bathroom,
Yeah, man.
and I
Yes.
was shocked. And then I was really quickly in this moment because I had to work also, right? So it was my job already. I was a full-time musician. I had to produce music, and I was immediately going to find out where can I buy, this foam shit, which everybody buys, I think, for the first
Yes,
time.
yes, yes.
When people are starting to improve their room acoustics, the first thing what they go to is like this ugly ass foam shit. I still have a lot of foam in my studio. Not that much, but a bit of foam in my studio, accompanying the major bass trap and the two corner bass traps and the side panel traps. and so forth. But was the first thing that I did. So I was going to a big cellar in Berlin where they had it super cheap, like basically like a, not like a retail store, but like a warehouse where they have just tons and tons of this shit basically, and you can tell them cut it in this shape or cut it in this shape. They do anything. And I got this as a kind of first aid, really like a first aid, okay, just to get it under control. And once I had this, I immediately took all the steps, really. I put the carpet inside the studio to fix the reflection on the floor. I built two huge 270 centimeter high bass traps with a front side length of 70 centimeters. And I actually didn't build two, I built four that are stacked on top of each other. So I can like easily take them and move them into another studio if I want. And they're kind of modular. You have four bass traps, you can stack them on top of each other, and they're going in the corner. And I built them, and I built the major bass trap for the back, which is pretty important, and I built the side panels. And I did everything there to fix it, and I'm still using those acoustic elements that I have built there.
Samuel, I have a question. How you fix without knowledge which place to put side panels?
You get a microphone and you send a sine wave and you use a measurement program, basically. That's what you do. Use a measurement program. And
this time you was working it this way.
Yeah, and also with common sense and knowledge. So like you need to just read about it. So for example,
But actually I know the trick. You stay on your place where you actually stay.
Mirror
in
trick.
Front of the laptops. Yeah, mirror trick.
Yes, of course.
This is a really important thing for guys who just comes. It's very important.
Very important. Placement is very, very many people don't understand the importance of placement, and that they can, it's like you can have 30,000 euros worth of speakers and acoustic panels, and then you're just placing it shitty. Literally, you're just
yes. Yeah, because my friend have the similar story. He put too much soundproofs, these panels, this foam, but it's not work nicely. I come to him and told, man, why you put your line? He don't have a square. He have the I don't know correct name. Wait, guys. He have like long shape room, like one side long shape room. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry for my English.
Yeah.
And he put it not at the long way, at the long line. He put it short line, I tell him no, man.
But you need.
Sorry. Different. He put on long line, but he
should never do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I told him, he changed, and he was get the really nice sound.
Yeah. So that's very important, but that's not the only thing which is important. So let's go through a couple of knowledge the things with acoustics. First thing is what you said. If you have a square room, let's say this is your room, okay? Like this is like your room. Where do you place yourself? Obviously not in this direction, towards the long side. You are facing the short side of your room.
Yes.
And then another very important concept of placement, because your position is extremely important. Not only the speaker's position are important, your position is tremendously important. So from the length, where do you sit in the room? Because obviously we know we don't want to be too close to the front walls and to the corners. So we want to go inside the room. But we do not want to place the speakers in a way so that you are sitting on the 50% line. You do not want to sit here. Yeah, and you don't want to sit on the 25% line. And you don't want to even sit, you want to sit in the 33.3 line.
Yeah.
Or in the 66 or whatever, but somewhere in between, and not in the middle. That's very important. It can totally destroy your sound. I had this actually in my own studio where I was placing everything, and in the end then I placed the speakers too far away from the wall because I literally was sitting in a bass like hole in a way in this 50% line. So that's very, very important and easy to do. Headphones are another very, very good trick, especially for beginners. So your headphones, if you have high quality headphones, they are not going to betray you. If you have biodynamic DT990s or K712 Pro from AKG, I think, or the Sennheiser HD 650, I think they're, like
There are many, man.
anything which is linear or at least
Yeah.
reasonably linear will give you a very reliable frequency response, of course. So when you are beginner producer, or if it's really about the production, headphones super important.
But bro, I want to tell one thing. For beginner, the headphones, it's solution of the problem. But for these guys, better to understand how the frequencies work in air, not in headphones.
But it's better to
understand
have.
what I mean?
Yeah, I understand, but it's still much better than to have, reliable frequencies than to have hi-fi something. You know what I mean?
Yes, hi-fi acoustics I not accept. I accept like at least some budget monitors
Yeah,
at least,
Minimum
because
would be Yamaha.
yes,
yes,
because
KRK.
see, when he put his headphones, he feeling like this because he not experienced with sound. I using these headphones at least 5 years. I understand how they sounding. I understand how the
what do you
work
mean
sound.
with this headphones?
I use this Biodynamics 770 GT
Okay.
Pro.
Close ones.
Yes, and because for my situation it's best one.
Actually,
And
yes.
I think okay, I know how the sound work. I work with sound already 16 years, and for beginner it can be problem. He create the sound, he create the bassline. It's sounding in the headphones like this. He put the speaker, and it's not sounding what he feel before in the headphones, but it's not will the sounding the same because the headphones it's headphones, speakers it's speakers.
Yeah, but actually, I'm telling you, a lot of headphone setups are a lot more reliable, in my opinion, than a lot of beginner speaker setups, bro. Like
I
seriously.
agree with you, but
They should, like,
but
I would
to,
tell
but
them, rely on your headphone more than you rely on your speakers until it's like halfway there. You know what I mean? Like speakers.
yeah. But to be honest, I start to calibrate my headphones because I work with calibration. I don't work without calibration. For example, for speaker, I not feel so good about the calibration of the speaker. Maybe it's some way good, maybe for some people good, but not for me. But for headphones, I use calibration of SonarWorks because
Yeah.
for me it's very important. Because I know my headphones, it's pretty flat, but it's not so flat how I
Yeah.
need,
Okay, interesting. So let's talk a bit about that. That's a good point. SonarWorks. Let's talk about that. Alfie.
Yeah, there are many SonarWorks.
Arc.
I don't remember actually the names, but I remember a few of
Yeah,
them.
there was Arc. Arc is actually, it's the same fucking thing as SonarWorks, really. It's like only SonarWorks has better marketing, better branding, and they are selling better, but it's like pretty much the same thing. And of course they have
Just,
a little bit more R&D time than Arc, and they are now the market leader, which gives them the edge. But
I just few days ago get information Genelec have this calibration program, especially from Genelec. I was surprised about it.
Yeah. Do you use SonarWorks, Alfie?
No, bro.
No, me too. Yeah, and I would use it only as a second opinion anyway. I would not use it as my main system. I wouldn't do it. And I know those programs. I used them in the past, and they are very valuable as a second opinion, in my opinion. But your speakers should sound good by themselves, like ideally.
Yes, so that's why I told you from the beginning. I like to calibrate my headphones, but not a speaker. But I hear many good studio with calibration of the sonar works, and it's sounding without calibration good, but with calibration it's sounding like a function one. You know, it's like a, for example, 8-inch monitors. I
Yeah, yeah.
stay in the I stay in the studio, you know, like in the chair in the main point, and guy who actually his studio, and he first he off and he play music without calibration. I listen it and I know this track. I was feeling yes, amazing sound. And when he turned the sonar works, I was feeling, you know, I was close my eyes and I was feeling I'm listening function one, you know, because it was giving me the same feeling. But in other studio, I not get the same feeling. It's like on the speakers, it works different. On the headphones, it's work more nice, I think. But it's only my opinion.
Yeah. Well, okay. Did you guys know Trinov calibration?
What?
It's a question from a viewer. Did you guys know Trinov calibration?
No, I
No,
don't.
It sounds, for me, it sounds like hardware. I'm asking him if it's hardware.
Yeah, maybe he can send.
Yeah. There's this thing for 4,000 euros, which is basically like a hardware kind of like sonar.
4,000 euro?
Yeah, 4,000 euros. Yeah.
You're not mistake?
No, I don't mistake.
4,000.
No, 4,000. Yeah.
4,000.
4,000 euros. It's acoustic room correction device, like hardware.
Sorry, it's device.
It's a
I
device.
was.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
hardware. It's very expensive hardware for like high-end studios. It's basically better than Sonar works, of course. Um, it's
Maybe
more
this system
sophisticated.
for high end is not so work good way to studio
No.
because
Oh, it does. It does. 100%.
it does.
It does. It's built for studios. It's built for high-end studios. What you could do in Germany though is just like get the fucking thing, and you have in most shops 30 days. You can give it back with no questions asked. You could correct your fucking studio because you only use it once. It would be super cheap, but you could do it. You could just use it and send it back. Like, have your
But
studio
now,
fixed.
guys, to be honest, the technology jumped too high. You know, just a few days ago, I was checking the speakers which calling key audio. It was have inside of the speakers. It's have DSP, and it's calibrating by themselves.
But
Just
that's
check that.
old concept, brother. Very old
It's
concept.
maybe old concept, but it's not old than 6-7 years, I think. Because it's just new
yes, it is.
technology coming.
No, you're wrong in this case. There was
Maybe.
I can tell you a series that is very well known. That's the Dyn Audio Air series. Had this. You had a you had a master. And
Yes.
Yeah, you had a master and you had a slave, and you had actually a DSP with room correction, and yeah, they could measure themselves in. So the concept is the Air series exists since more than 10 years, I believe. Like fucking Madonna was produced on that 10 years ago.
I actually, to be honest, I never used it now. That's why I got so into it. I get it.
I'm using.
I know.
Yes, and
I know.
I was using the Air series in Freak Records studio. I was not, just for the time when I was there, obviously.
I still dreaming to listen the Dyn Audio 15-inch.
The old ones are very
Yes.
Yeah, the old ones are different. They are very popular for some people. It's kind of obviously speakers are something extremely personal to choose, in my opinion. Alfie, what you using, Adam?
I have Adam and Mackie and Yamaha
HS8 or which one?
HS8.
And
My Yamaha is 3-inch and the others are 8-inch. RM8 is the Mackie RM8 and Adam
Yeah.
is
which
Adam
other?
is 7.
7S.
Adam
That's 7X.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7X.
I was right actually. It is hardware, he says. Trinov is like this, and it works like Samuel is explaining it right now. Yeah, I thought so.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
I think I heard about it even. Of course, that's like if you can afford it, it's a good thing. But then on the other hand, to be honest with you, like as far I don't know how it works. Probably you need it constantly there. That must be the concept. So otherwise, you would just sell it after you corrected your room. So I'm guessing maybe you can answer that, Marcus. I'm guessing that you buy the Trinov and you do your room correction, and you need to have the Trinov in the chain, basically, and it does active kind of improving of the signal.
Bro, I think this guy first need to manipulate with position and with sound
I know him.
acoustics.
I know him
You know him?
I know him very well, and his family has, I think his uncle has high-end acoustics shops. So he's a super hardcore
Okay.
nerd for acoustics, but in the hi-fi sector mostly. So he knows the DT series. He knows also the brands and stuff like that. But he's obviously specialized on like high-end hi-fi systems. He's very knowledgeable, but
Yes.
not necessarily in a studio. Like his aim is towards hi-fi. I know that, and I think the Trinov. I need to read about it if I haven't already.
Yeah, send me the link how this name correctly because I don't
Trinov,
get
Trinnov. It sounds a bit Russian anyway.
not get it. Okay, after. And also, I want to mark one interesting point, guys. Do you use on the top? I mean, on the roof, sound panels, and what do you think about this? Because mostly some people like, no, I don't need. I still confusion with this. You understand what I say?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course.
I totally understand what you're saying. Maybe Alfie want to say something
as
about that also.
as absorber or things like that for the
Yeah, on the top
the
of you.
Yeah.
yeah, in this case the absorbers could be really nice, but you have to know where exactly you should put
Yeah,
them.
for sure. Placement,
It's
it's other
usually
question.
usually it's really directly above the listener. You place this panel that hangs
Yeah,
exactly above the listener, and it's pretty much 50%. Like in between, there's space. Like it's hanging
Yes.
above the producer, but you have like maybe a meter space on top of that in between the ceiling and the hanging element. And I unfortunately don't. It's the missing part is this and diffusers in my studio.
But you want it.
Of course, yes, of course, totally.
Okay.
Without a question, you will get a more concise audio field. That's for sure.
Yes,
It will be more
yes.
concise, and yeah, I vouch for that. It's actually a really important one. You just need to be careful to do that correctly. For example, here, I mean, I'm living in a really amazing but old building, so the walls on the side at least they are really mushy in a way because in the 1960s after the war they were just using whatever they could find, literally, like to
And mostly Russian people make it.
no,
And
I
not
don't.
only Russian.
No.
Sorry,
A
I
lot of
mistake.
Germans, a lot of Germans. But
Yes,
actually,
yes.
here
No,
I'm
I mean they can't just controlling it. Sorry.
yeah. So I'm a little bit scared. You really need to pump in those big screws in the ceiling
Yeah.
to not be have a really terrible awakening after a couple of days. Somebody's jumping on the top of you, like on the flat above you or something like that, and then suddenly like a huge acoustic sail, it's called, it would come down on your stuff. That's not a nice thing, I believe. Like
yeah,
yeah. But I believe it's one of the actually elemental parts of acoustic treatment, and it's one of the things that I'm totally, you know, skimping on for the moment. But
Yes, same,
yeah,
same feeling.
but what I do is a little trick that is just you place acoustic foam on the ceiling of the speaker. That works actually. It will, because the sound is not traveling from only the front, the tweeter and the woofer. It's actually traveling from all sides of the speaker. It's like literally
Exactly.
shining. You can imagine it like a light that is shining from in all directions, a bit stronger obviously to the front than to the back and to the ceiling. But you can use, let me show you, just a little bit of acoustic foam that you place on top of your speaker. And obviously that's not the same like having a proper acoustic sail. I'm not saying that, but it's helping a bit and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And it works. So it's a good thing to have, but you need to take care. For example, I'm in a really high room. So actually the distance is like 180 at least, I would say, to 2 meters from the tweeter to the ceiling. So
It's good.
it's not the closest range from speaker to ceiling. So it's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem would be the corners and the direct field around the listener. So everything which is left and right, the direct reflection, because you have the speaker, it will go to the wall and it will go like mathematical, like a billiard ball basically. In the direction where it goes in, it comes in the direction also out. So it will hit you. And those reflections need to be controlled. Those early... Sorry. Shit.
Oops.
Sorry, guys. Those early reflections around you that are in the close proximity of you is the reflections that you need to take care of. The first, and the bass traps is very important, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bass
Really
traps.
necessary.
Sorry that I have to add something here. So you can
Sure.
also overdo it. That's the thing. With acoustics, you can overdo it, but there is a kind of a rule, and that rule says that you can have easily too much absorption. Your room will become dead and flat. Many people, they misunderstand how it works, and they just like they will plaster everything with
Especially beginners.
yeah. Markus, I'm gonna answer your questions in a second. What did I want to say? Now I lost the plot.
Lots
Doesn't
of
matter.
people acoustic everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You can overdo it, but bass traps, for example, you can't really like overdo it. It's really hard to overdo it with bass traps usually. Like you can have too much absorption in the highs easily, but not so easy in the bass traps. That's why like you.
Samuel, I think you need to calculate your bass trap according to your speakers. Because if your speakers 8-inch and your room not so big one, you need very big bass trap. If you have like a 4-inch speakers, like maybe you don't need so big a bass trap.
Bro,
Well,
but in this case, you can add a layer of wood. Very wood can absorb the low frequencies very good. So
You mean diffuser?
yeah,
I
but
didn't understand also.
I don't have it here, so I cannot show you. But it's some like the bass trap, but in the front side there are
Some wooden panels, but have
wooden
space.
panels.
Yeah, and holes inside there.
Yes. This is good. No,
Yeah.
I not speak at all about bass
But
traps, how it looks.
you need to also understand that in a studio everything is connected with each other. So it's not only you're not only looking at okay, what does my bass trap do? So it's a combination of all the elements that come
Elements.
into sight.
Yes.
So you will balance. Obviously, it's a game to balance those out, and it's also a question of what the producer likes. So, for example, placement of speakers. It's you have a choice to make either to make a wide triangle, there always should be kind of like, same, um, how is this called? Well, they should be,
Triangle.
yeah, but the kind of triangle. But you can make it wider or you can make it
Equal,
less wide.
equal side,
Yeah, equal
equal
side.
side
Yeah.
triangle.
It can be a little bit sharper to the front actually. You can go a little bit more sharp to the front or equal side. As a starting point, you can take equal sided triangle. And you can make a big triangle if you have, it depends on the size of your speakers, the size of your studio, etc.
Yeah.
And you can make a smaller triangle. And the small triangle will have a certain sound characteristics. It will have more mids, not mids from the frequencies. I'm talking about more mono, more mid, and less stereo.
Yeah.
And the more you open the triangle and basically enlarge the triangle, the wider your stereo field will get, and the less mono you get, the less middle sound out of the middle you get. So it's also a little bit a question of taste,
This
even.
way
I would
you
say.
also need to find proper balance.
Yeah.
Yes, correct, Samuel. It's about taste actually. But
It's also about that.
Behind the test stay the rules, you know this.
Yeah, of course.
Because-
Exactly. That's why you're starting with those knowledge-based things, like, room, how you take a certain room. There are also just some acoustic nightmares, like, for example, same-sided, squares, like where you have a room which is a perfect square. That is known as an unfixable room in room acoustics.
Yes.
Yeah, what you would have to do is actually...
Around those unfixable.
Yeah, the only thing what you can do in this case is you need to take one wall. You will sacrifice a bit of space in this case. You will just put either two walls or at least one wall inside this room to fundamentally change the shape of the room in order to get a room that you can start to fix in this case. It's like it's hard to say anything general in this case, also because I'm lucky I have a big room. Alfie also, we are quite lucky that our dimensions are just not horrible. They are quite favorable actually for a studio. They're, which is actually, this is a good kind of proportion for a studio room. It's really like a normal, where you have one longer side and one shorter side. No room is perfect anyway, and you will notice also that the biggest studios in the world, like Sterling, it doesn't matter how big and how many millions of, CDs they sell or productions they make or whatever. None of them have perfect linearity, and all of them accept it. If you are a well-knowledged engineer or mixing engineer or whatever, then you totally accept it. Nobody wants to work in a perfectly linear room, actually. That's also a thing to realize. It's not very nice.
I remember one... Yeah, guys. I remember one movie, if you know this movie, Sound of City. And this is a movie about the sound studio in California, where recording Nirvana, Slipknot, the very popular bands. And this room for recording the drums don't have proper they really not for recordings.
Yeah,
When
this
people
can be
recording
advantage. But this can be also
Yes.
can be advantage. I mean, for example, let's go to Star Wars sound design. There are some very, very interesting documentaries just about the sound design of Star Wars, where the sound designer explains how they roomized their sounds. So even if they recorded something in a studio, they were then going into a room that was like the room in the virtual reality, in the movie reality. So let's say it's a big hall on a spaceship, and they have some sound of a droid, for example, that comes from some radio, and they modified it or something like that. They're going to create that sound, then they're going to a big hall with a lot of glass and stuff like that has those characteristics, and they re-record it, they play it in that room, and re-record it. re-recorded, and that's calling roomization. It's a term coined by the sound designer of the Star Wars movies, which is incredibly interesting. And it's
Nice.
I think, Alfie, what do you say? Star Wars sound design, the original Star Wars sound design, it
That's
was really, really,
masterpiece.
really masterpiece. It was really a masterpiece because you had to go to, it was I think 1978.
Oh yes, man. Oh yes, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, so they were super creative, and the sound designs still hold up today. They actually are amazing. They have a lot of character, and it's just the amount of work that they put inside is crazy. What do you mean, Marcus? Lol, this works. Yeah, roomization, it works. It totally works. By now it's a common technique for filmmakers, good filmmakers to say, because this. Yeah, no, but this is where you see the attention to detail of a filmmaker is like he will be knowledgeable enough to understand those things, or he has the sound guy who at least who understands it. That
I think mostly it's about money, how many money people put in the movie, you know.
or you just have the guy who knows it. You just have the guy.
Possible.
You're just lucky. You're cheap, but you're lucky. Can also happen.
Yeah, this is also possible in our world.
Yes. Let me see. Okay, by the way, the snares are from you, Parandroid, and the kicks from Mark Day. Unfortunately, Mark Day is not here today, but thank you very much. Then, what material you should use for bass traps to not overdo the highs and mids? To be honest, can I answer, or do you want to answer?
Yeah.
You want, Alfie?
Wood.
No, just answer it, bro.
Okay.
Uh,
So you should from the beginning you need to make a calculation about that. So that will go. It's a valid question because, for example, the fabric that you use to cover your bass traps, it is either more or less reflective or absorptive. So you need to think about which cloth or which fabric you are using. If you either want to absorb highs, which is very possible, like actually I have no problem with the bass traps absorbing a little bit of highs, because you have anyway normally flatter echo from the top, so I don't see a problem. If you make the calculation, you need to put that inside your calculation. You have like huge absorptive kind of places in your studio that have to be calculated. You cannot only calculate the absorption from the bass trap itself, you need to also calculate the absorption from the material that the bass trap is covered with, because it will absorb high frequencies, not low frequencies. You're right about that. Yeah.
But bro, about the absorbing high frequency, if this guy have pretty big room, he don't need to absorb the high frequency, because high frequencies, how you know, it's not so far. More far, low frequencies work.
But still, to be honest with you, like there is still I think still they should be controlled. Also, high frequencies must be controlled.
You mean still in your room you control it?
In my room, I control it ultimately. I mean, the last stage in your acoustic setup is always the equalizer of your speaker, obviously. So.
You mean in the back side of the speaker?
Absolutely, that's what it's there.
Yes.
That's what it's.
This
what
is
it's there for.
plus 1 dB, plus 2 dB. It's okay. Yes.
Yeah, the shelving.
Tuning.
The shelving EQs, exactly. They are very important, and.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because this EQ, especially it's calling room adjustment. That's why.
Yeah. It's just many people are scared from that, or they want it linear, but obviously your room is not linear, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
If it sounds like shit, change the EQ, because then it's like
right.
It's also important part is actually sitting there and trying different configurations and having actually another guy, just moving the speaker like a bit. And
this is very important to have one guy who helps stuff. Very good.
Yeah.
Same district with mirror. You need to stay in your place where you music from the speaker, and you need to watch the wall. When the guy bring the mirror to the wall.
You need to wash the wall?
Oh, sorry. I say you can see
Yeah.
the mirror on the wall.
Yeah.
Sorry
I know
for my
that.
English.
We know that trick. Yeah, the mirror trick. Okay. I think that's it for today. What do you think, Alfie? Do you want to talk a bit more, or do we want to go over to our reaction time?
I don't know for the reaction time, but I think this podcast is really nice, and we talk about really good topics. And
That's good, yeah. Okay, so very important shout out in the end, right? We are planning to do this every Friday with different guests, and you guys are welcome. This was not promoted, not announced anywhere. So for the people who dropped in, thank you for dropping in. Thank you for dropping a couple of questions. We are planning
We
to
can do it again.
Yeah, for sure. We
Why
can
not?
invite you at a later point. We have a couple of people actually already lined up that we planned also to invite. And also today there was actually a fourth man was supposed to come, but he had to. There was something coming in between. He had to like take care of his sister and drive her somewhere. So Neotech would have been here, but definitely Ilya, you can jump in the future for a future podcast. We'll definitely invite you again.
I'm waiting your invitation letter.
Yes, man. Was nice to talk to you. Really nice to talk to
Yeah,
you.
same man. Same man. Hope we meet
really
soon
nice.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice to
For
meet you, Alfie,
sure.
too.
yeah,
Yeah, me too, and we will stay in touch
for
Yeah,
sure.
for
for
sure, for
sure.
sure.
Also,
Hope
Ilya, we did
Yes.
Alfie and me and one more producer. We did also a versus session. There is a plugin like for versus collaboration. Maybe in the future we do something in that regard again. That we do another session like that. But I'm not sure. Well, it should work. Yeah, maybe we can invite you to that. That it's with the VST called Satellite from Mixed in Key, and it's for free.
Yes.
And
Why not?
it's you can collaborate with other musicians. Doesn't matter if the other person has Cubase or if he has Ableton. You know, I can use Cubase, Alfie can use Ableton, you can use Ableton, and we could even have you in the project. Yeah, I will explain you another time on WhatsApp.
Yeah, we can discuss about it. No, I'm not so much
Yeah. But
sure about this. Why not?
I want to thank the both of you. First of all, Ilya for dropping in so spontaneously. I told you a couple of weeks that I want to do it, and then I just called you
Yeah,
today.
I'm happy to be guest here. No what?
Yeah, and big thanks to Alfie as well, of course. Alfie and me, we are going to do it next week again. I don't know if I'm going to switch over to Twitch or if I am staying here on YouTube for the stream. Not sure yet. Maybe I will decide about that. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe you can put it in the comments if you prefer Twitch or if you prefer YouTube. Actually, probably Twitch, but Twitch, yeah, the beginning is tough, as it is on YouTube as well. But I definitely see you guys next Friday, or we see us guys, Alphy Psyche and me, Parandroid. We will see us on the Instinct podcast on 9 p.m. CET on Friday. Next Friday, and the Friday after that, hopefully as well, and so forth. So we are planning to do that on a weekly basis. And we're also planning to do maybe some other things in between. But Friday, 9 p.m. CET, Central European Time, you can drop in and listen to our conversations. Sometimes we're also going to have other visitors, like maybe organizers, maybe other type of artists, like graphic artists, stuff like that. But it will be most of the time, I believe, creators or people in the business of creators. So thanks for everybody that watched to this spontaneous stream.
Thank you guys for hosting.
Yeah, of course, bro. Like, you fit very nicely.
Sure.
you fit very nicely as well.
Very
Unfortunately,
cool.
unfortunately, the camera didn't work this time, but it's just like that. It was also good like that, I believe. How we did it.
Sometime in India, something not work, you know. India
It is like
this.
that. And we can be happy if the voice worked nice. And it's more anyway about what we are talking, I believe, in this case. And just
Yeah, yeah.
as a bonus, the people can see our faces if they like.
Yeah.
Okay.
More important
Yeah.
music than cover, how my friend.
Yeah. One more plug. I did that in the podcast, but I'm going to do that one last time as the last thing what I'm saying. I have to do it. Please, guys, head over to our website, instinct-learning.com. We're going to release a course from Alphy Psyche about the foundations of music production and synthesis and everything what you need to know to start out as a music producer. And I also released a couple of courses that I still expand continuously. And I'm going to show you a couple of previews very soon in the next days. You can already enroll in a couple of those courses. We're planning to really expand that, and we have a great system there now, great learning management system. So for the people that want to learn that, you can take lessons from us, you can take lessons from Alfie, you can take lessons from me, you can use the video lessons, sample packs, presets, free lessons, all of that good stuff. Again, for one last time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys next Friday at 9 p.m. CET for the Instinct podcast with Alphy Psyche and Parandroid. Bye-bye, guys.
Yeah, bye bye, guys.
Thank you for watching, and I hope see you all in the next week.
Yes,
Thank you,
Thank you,
and
Alfie.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bom bom.
Bombolenat.
Bye, bros.
Okay, I dropped out. Bro, but no,